in the deal, with another $31 million reportedly going to the family of Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, also involved in the crypto company. Months later, the Trump administration approved something the Sheikh and others in the UAE long coveted, the sale of hundreds of thousands of cutting-edge American artificial intelligence chips to that country. A move the previous administration blocked, where the state-of-the-art technology could be sold or smuggled to China.
A spokesman for the company, World Liberty Financial, released a statement telling ABC News in part any claim the deal had anything to do with the administration's actions on chips is 100% false. Wisconsin will continue to receive federal funding to boost its electric vehicle infrastructure.
After the White House froze funding for the program last year, a federal judge ruled that Wisconsin and 16 other states will continue to get the grant funding to improve electric vehicle charging stations. The judge's ruling means Wisconsin will get $62 million to build more EV chargers. As of last year, there were around 37,000 electric vehicles registered in the Badger State. While numbers have steadily increased, state officials originally projected over 200,000 EVs on the road by next year. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Markets are up. Dow up 419 points. The Nasdaq up 105. S&P 500 up 27. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth. Annex Private Client. Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 10:04.
For 176 years, St. Vincent de Paul Society of Milwaukee has been neighbors helping neighbors, working to eliminate poverty and hunger with compassion and dignity. When families face hard times, our volunteers step in. Over 600 trained volunteers ready to meet people where they're at, in their homes. And that's what our Neighbors Helping Neighbors home visit program is all about. Volunteers travel in pairs, listening first, then offering personalized support. They provide families and individuals with things like furniture, beds, food, clothing, and connect them to vital community resources, help that provides stability during challenging times. These home visits don't just address an immediate need, they help create a safer, more stable future for our families and individuals in our community. Last year alone, St. Vincent de Paul Society volunteers completed nearly 11,000 home visits across Milwaukee County, serving those who need us most. Together, we are neighbors helping neighbors. To learn more about our mission or get involved, visit svdpmilw.org.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, founder of the Neal Group and best-selling author on how to have less stress with the IRS. Happy New Year. Hopefully you enjoyed the holidays and spent time relaxing. Now it's tax time. I know, it's not the most wonderful time of the year, wondering if you are getting a refund or owe, waiting for all the forms to come and wondering what is deductible. Control the situation instead of letting it control you. Let us help you understand all the new tax laws, how they affect you, and how to take advantage of them. Last year, we helped Janet and Norm go from owing $43,000 to getting a $500 refund. We can help you, too. The first meeting is free. Call now, 414-325-2040, or visit nealgroup.net. You earned it. We help you keep it. That's 414-325-2040. or nealgroup.net.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Bucks ended their road trip on a sour note. Milwaukee lost 107-79 to the Celtics. Bucks have now lost 5 games in a row. They return home to face off with the Chicago Bulls on Tuesday. The Marquette women's basketball team beat Georgetown 67-59 on the road. Marquette back home Wednesday to face Providence. Milwaukee men's basketball team has lost back-to-back games. Panthers' comeback bid came up short in a 90-88 home loss to Cleveland State. Milwaukee will be back in action Wednesday against Detroit Mercy. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Just a couple of broken down vehicles. A new one on the exit to Loomis Road from I-41 East. Another one off on the right shoulder, I-94 West, about a half mile beyond the ramp from Moreland Road. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Becoming partly cloudy today. 25 is the high, and that is our current temperature. Mostly cloudy tonight. Slight chance of snow to the south, a low 11. Mostly sunny 21 tomorrow. Sunny and 24 on Wednesday. Partly cloudy Thursday. Chance for evening snow and a high 32. Partly cloudy Friday with a high of 32. 23 in Madison, 22 in Green Bay, 25 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristen Brey.
Happy Monday, happy Groundhog Day, happy Rhino Day if you're at the Milwaukee County Zoo. But yes, Steve is off enjoying the sunshine in Cancun. He'll be back next Tuesday, but we have, as always, I guess not as always, but Matt Smith is back.
I apologize for my recent absences.
Yes, Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12 and co-host of Upfront. So yeah, let's start there, because twice in the last month, you have been deployed to be on the ground in Minnesota.
Yep.
Most recently, last Monday, last minute, you went up there after the death of, or the murder of, Alex Preddy. And so let's just start there, even though this wasn't on Upfront this weekend, as far as what it felt like in the 48 hours you were there last week.
Yeah, it was fascinating to be there in the days following the shooting, both at the site and in that neighborhood, and also out at the federal building, where we have previously seen a lot of the protest, a lot of the clashes. We saw a ton of people coming to the vigil site and continuing. We met up with Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, who came in. We know Governor Tim Walz has been there, and just a number of prominent political figures, as well as just members of the community coming to whether be pay their respects or protest, and not so much of a protest site at that site, but definitely a lot of questions, because this was all as the transition was happening in real time, with Greg Bovino leaving the city and Tom Homan coming in. So there was this sense, at least among the residents of Minneapolis that we talked to, that this was a good shift they saw in terms of Tom Homan coming over to oversee the operations. And I think just a lot of questions from residents about what's next, what do the days and weeks look like, as we started to see, when we were there in real time, the readouts from the governor and the mayor and Tom Homan saying, listen, we had a great initial discussion. There is clearly stuff we disagree on, but maybe there are some things we agree on. So as those conversations develop, residents that we talked with were watching that very closely.
So as far as the media coverage, both local media and national media, that's been in Minnesota, from your perspective, having friends and family who live there, what do you think media's done well, and what do you think they haven't captured that people who live there have experienced?
Yeah, I mean, it's 24/7 for the people who live there, right? And I would imagine this week we'll start to see some of the national media leave. There's always the criticism of the national media, right? You fly in for the crisis and then you immediately fly out. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that develops. And clearly the national media was there for a while. I think the local reporters on the job, on the ground, are doing a fantastic job. They've been working around the clock, whether you talk about the Star Tribune or the local television reporters across all the stations, the blogs, you name it. They are the ones on the ground who can really have the pulse of the community, because they live there and they interact every day. So it'll be interesting to see the coverage in the coming days and weeks as all of this develops and the attention turns elsewhere.
Well, speaking of elsewhere, that was one of my big questions on Friday that we didn't get an answer to, but this unknowing as far as where do we go from here? Like, is what happened in Minnesota something that's going to happen again in other cities, or does the administration think this tactic didn't work? And so as we think about Wisconsin as a state, Milwaukee as a city, preparing if and when ICE comes here in bigger numbers than they've already been here, there's actually already a legal case from the ACLU brought against the county sheriffs. And so this was your lead story in Upfront this weekend. So give us a little background as far as what this is.
And coming off of Minnesota, it appears this is what Tom Homan is pushing for in Minnesota: more cooperation with county jails for ICE detainers. Essentially saying, hey, from an ICE perspective, we flagged this person. County jail, even if this person was supposed to be released, can you hold them for 48 hours so our ICE agents can come, arrest them, and take them into federal custody? Some counties here in Wisconsin are participating rapidly with ICE on that. Some are not. There's these 287 agreements is what they're called, where you sign a formal agreement with ICE, the county sheriff does, and a number of counties across the state have done that. And now the ACLU is suing, saying, listen, no matter what you think about this, our argument is state law does not allow county sheriffs to actually cooperate with ICE. And this case now is moving through the court system.
The Wisconsin court system, not the federal court system.
And here's another point. So the Wisconsin State Supreme Court agreed to take the case in December. Now, the sheriffs, the attorneys representing the sheriffs, want this to go to federal court. The ACLU is fighting to keep it in the state Supreme Court. So first, there's this battle about what court is going to hear this argument now, whether it be the federal court, because the sheriffs, the attorneys argue, listen, this is a federal issue. The ACLU says, no, this is a state issue. And if you look at the politics of it, perhaps the sheriffs could possibly see a better chance of winning in federal court. The ACLU could see a better chance of winning in the liberal-controlled state Supreme Court.
So you had lawyers from both sides of the argument on the show this weekend. So you spoke to Sam Hall, who's the attorney representing the Wisconsin sheriffs. So let's play that clip first.
Do sheriffs across the state have the ability to say yes or no to helping with ICE and these detainers?
You know, that's a great question. They certainly have yes or no to say as to whether or not they enter into a 287 agreement. The concept of whether they have to cooperate with ICE is an open question. And so the scope of that law, the scope of whether, you know, a sheriff could ever face criminal prosecution for not complying with the detainer, I guess is still to be determined. But as an attorney, I'm not inclined to recommend my clients push the envelope too much.
So from the standpoint of the Sam Hall, who's representing them, is the argument that it should be up to the discretion of the sheriff?
Yeah,
okay.
Essentially,
so
who signed these agreements.
He's protecting their discretion more so than they have to or they don't have to.
Yeah, but then I asked this question, which he kind of opened this door to the broader question of what happens if a sheriff forcibly says no or does not cooperate with ICE. What does that mean? And I guess he's saying it's going to be up to the courts, right? Like
which court?
Exactly. We haven't faced that, right? We haven't seen a county sheriff arrested for not cooperating with ICE. But I guess in Sam's comments, from an attorney's perspective representing sheriffs, he said, listen, it could be possible.
Okay, let's take a quick break because when we come back, we'll have the ACLU attorney and what he said on the issue, and then we'll talk a little bit more about where the case goes from here, in which direction.
Yep.
He is Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12 and co-host of Upfront. I am Kristen Brey. Steve is out tanning in Cancun. Stay with us. It's Point Taken.
Your European experts at Fox World Travel are ramping up and busy as ever. When you want to see more of Europe, Princess Cruises delivers. With Princess Cruises and Fox World Travel, explore iconic Mediterranean ports by day, then relax in classic comfort by night. From immersive shore excursions to destination-inspired dining, every moment is designed to feel effortless. Ready to set sail on your Mediterranean adventure? Call 866-GO-FOX-GO or visit foxworldtravel.com to book your European getaway.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi. Fleet Farm's Paws and Claws sale is here. Now through February 8th. Save on everything pet and wild bird at Fleet Farm. Find great deals on food, treats, and toys for your furry and feathered friends. And hey, the big game is right around the corner, and Fleet Farm is here to help you host a winning game day party. Score deals on snacks, furniture, and must-have cookware. DeWalt deals, those deal days are going on right now at Fleet Farm. Find exclusive savings on trusted power tool combos, accessories, storage, and more. Only in-store at Fleet Farm. The DeWalt deal days now through Sunday, only at Fleet Farm.
The family-owned Mineshaft Restaurant in Hartford is hiring line cooks, dishwashers, and third-shift cleaners. You'll make real money in a fun, busy atmosphere. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids. Inquire today and start next week. Visit MineShaftRestaurant.com.
At Advent, nasal congestion and sinus infections can be solved with an in-office 20-minute procedure. Elsewhere, expect surgery.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristen Brey. Steve is out for the week. We are talking to Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12. Lead story on Upfront from this weekend was a kind of convoluted case against the ACLU is bringing against sheriffs in Wisconsin on what their discretion is when it comes to working as a state employee versus coordinating with ICE agents. And so in addition to speaking to Sam Hall, who's the attorney representing Wisconsin sheriffs, you talked to Tim Muth, who's an ACLU attorney. So what did he have to say?
So the ACLU is the organization suing to essentially halt these ICE detainers across the state, saying the state has no legal authority to do so. And they're at this point, yes, they're advocating that sheriffs don't do this because they don't agree with it. But from this perspective, from a legal argument, they're saying, listen, we don't necessarily care what you think about this. We're looking to the state legislature and the fact that we do not believe this is lawful, which is the ACLU's legal argument in looking to ban this.
So let's play that clip really quickly.
Have you seen any instances where Wisconsin law enforcement authorities are overstepping their bounds or their authority?
Well, in our view, anytime that they honor these detainers and make those arrests, they are doing that. Congress, in the Immigration and Naturalization Act, it says explicitly that states can decide how much or how little local law enforcement will cooperate or will participate in immigration enforcement.
So this is basically what is the state law that they're basing this off of?
Well, they're saying the legislature hasn't created a law that is allowing the county sheriffs to assist with ICE detainers, which they're arguing the legislature would need to act for this to happen.
So it's an absence of a law, not something that has already been written.
In terms of these first legal arguments. And as we mentioned, the first debate now, which is going to take a good part of the first part of this year, is what court this is going to be heard in. So this argument about what court now this case should be heard in is going to delay any ultimate decision on this.
And so what do sheriffs do in the meantime?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. We asked Sam that, right? Like, so some are cooperating, some are not, some are. He said, listen, a lot of these sheriffs feel like they're between a rock and a hard place, right? In terms of cooperating with federal officials, also listening to the voices of your community, right? Listening to internal politics or dialogue or whatever is at play in your given county. And listen, this isn't a predominant issue in a lot of counties, right?
Yeah.
This isn't, but it has become a heightened issue, and even more so heightened after Minnesota, just in terms of what's happening. And there's a national sheriff's conference happening in D.C. actually right now as we sit here, and this is one of the major topics that they're discussing, obviously.
Has there been much conversation from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office or the Dane County Sheriff's Office on what they're...
We haven't heard much publicly from them in recent days or weeks about this. It'll be fascinating as this lawsuit does develop. If they decide to weigh in a little publicly more so.
Got it. All right. So moving on, you also talked to Chief Aaron Lipsky, my guy. I will be biased in my friendship with Aaron. He is wonderful, but he is on, I don't exactly know how, Brigade? He is very passionate about having the conversation around sprinklers being in buildings come to a head. So he came on your show this week. I know last week we also talked to Jeremy and Janine about single stairwells and the fire propensity of people getting when there's new buildings like that. But he's still on this sprinkler thing. So he came on to talk about trying to force the issue, it seems like.
Yeah.
And so let's play that because it starts with a clip from Robin Voss.
Yeah, talking about the opposition to forcing apartment buildings to mandate sprinklers that are older buildings.
That's the free market. If you want that, you go into a building that has those amenities. If you don't, you say, I want the cheaper rent, and this is the balance. So I really don't think the government mandating it does anything more than drive more people out of affordable housing.
You heard right there, the affordable housing, right? And why is it that fire suppression and fire safety takes a back seat to all the other concerns all the time? Why is it that us attempting to just have a conversation about this is met with vociferous opposition from the most powerful man in our state government? How is that possible?
Which is a good question. I mean, I know a lot of people point to the fact that both Robin Voss and other state lawmakers are landlords themselves and own a lot of property. I do understand, we've had this conversation plenty of times on here, that it is expensive to retrofit buildings.
Incredibly, yeah.
Is there any kind of room for a compromise as far as grant money or something to incentivize landlords to do this instead of just footing them with the bill?
I mean, right now it doesn't appear so. I mean, maybe down the road. I think the initial step would be the legislation that would allow municipalities to enforce these laws. And in the state, it would be for any building built before 1974. The problem with that in Milwaukee is a vast majority of apartment buildings were built before 1974. And we just had an apartment fire yesterday where a firefighter was injured. The apartment had no sprinklers. And the chief said, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there any thoughts on where this goes?
No, I mean, there's no movement in the legislature. And
we're running out of time for this session.
Yeah, and the chief is realistic about what this looks like. So he says, at this moment, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, is continuing talking about
just
this.
Being loud.
Yeah, until we can hopefully find something in terms of a solution on what he sees as a solution.
All right. Let's take another break. When we come back, you got Tom Tiffany on record as far as in the aftermath of getting Trump's endorsement. Yeah. So we'll talk about that with Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12. I am Kristen Brey. This is Point Taken.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi for Annex Wealth Management. At Annex, it's all about managing your wealth and helping you build it, but finding ways to enjoy it too. Annex provides financial planning at every level, so you know what you own and why. It's not about age, it's about a mindset. If you're ready for advice, it's time to seek a relationship with a wealth management firm that provides comprehensive planning wherever you are on your journey. Annex Wealth Management operates as a fee-only fiduciary, which means they're legally obligated to act in your best interest. No commissions, no pressure to buy products, just focused, customized planning for retirement, investment, tax strategies, and estate planning, all brought together under one roof. And they're local. Annex started right here in Wisconsin with offices in Brookfield, Mequon, Lake Country, downtown at the Fisher, which I love, and now Whitefish Bay. Or you can connect virtually. It's now easier than ever to get the professional guidance you or your business deserves. If you're thinking about it, click AnnexWealth.com. Hear what clients have to say about the Annex difference. Know the difference. Go to AnnexWealth.com, AnnexWealth.com.
Say I love you with the gift of music this Valentine's Day weekend as the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra welcomes Grammy-nominated vocalist Steve Lippia for a Simply Swingin' Valentine, February 13th through the 15th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Don't wait for Cupid to do all the work. You can reserve your seats now by calling 414-291-7605 or visit mso.org. Enjoy a most romantic date night as Steve Lippia and the MSO serve up a mix of jazzy songs and arrangements made popular by the likes of Nat King Cole, Tony Bennett, and Frank Sinatra. You and your date are sure to go home humming and whistling tune after memorable tune from the Great American Songbook. A Simply Swingin' Valentine runs February 13th through the 15th only, so call the box office now for tickets and more information. The number again is 414-291-7605 or online at mso.org.
Anglers, looking to up your game on Lake Michigan? Join MW Marine in Hales Corners for a free fishing seminar this Saturday at 11 a.m. Meet Tyler Schrader, Ranger and Mercury Pro, as he gives an introduction to small boat Lake Michigan trolling. Perfect for weekend fishermen. No reservations needed, just show up. Plus, check out all the new boats on display. That's this Saturday at 11 a.m. at MW Marine in Hales Corners.
Keeping you updated on culture and creativity. What's on Tap with Sandy Max.
When music is that much of a part of your life, it's part of you.
I can do digital, but I really prefer film. It's the equivalent of vinyl versus CD.
I sort of put together my theater writing hat and my songwriting hat and made one big hat.
This is a mega musical with a capital M.
Weeknights at 6 on WTMJ and the What's on Tap podcast on WTMJ.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristen Brey. Steve is on vacation. We're talking one more segment with Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12. You caught up with Tom Tiffany, Representative Tom Tiffany, candidate for governor on the Republican ticket. Only candidate now that Josh Schoeman has dropped out. In the wake of President Trump giving an endorsement to Tom Tiffany, which apparently he found out the same way we all found out.
He was surprised as everyone else. He said he found it out literally from the True Social post. He said he was eating dinner with someone and someone showed him the phone. It was like, oh, here's the endorsement. So no phone call, no heads up from the White House, no heads up from the president. Surprised, I think, just like every other Republican was across the state, not necessarily in the endorsement itself, but the timing of the endorsement when it came down.
Had he
Tuesday
talked to?
night.
Did he talk to him after the
No,
endorsement
not
came out?
since.
So he's not talked to him at all.
At least when him and I talked, which was okay. Now you're going to make me remember what happened last week.
I know, it's a blur.
Was probably Thursday, so late last week when
He
him
still
and
had
I
not,
talked.
he's still had not spoken
yes.
to him.
Yeah.
Which we talked about that a little bit on Friday of the timing. It wasn't a great week to get an endorsement from Trump, depending on how you're feeling about the situation in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, but
or the situation in a lot of
it
different
immediately
areas.
cleared the field for him, right? I mean, Josh immediately got out, not even 24 hours later, and he made the point, which I thought was interesting, when I asked him if a Trump endorsement's going to could hurt him in the general, and he said, listen, if there are issues that I disagree with the president on, I'm going to let him know. I don't think we've necessarily heard any issues he previously has clashed with Trump on.
Because he's been in Congress since 2020.
Yeah.
And obviously he was in state legislature for a decade before that.
Yeah.
And so is there anything notable that he has disagreed with the president on?
Not top of mind, I don't think necessarily, but it was fascinating to hear him say that initially, knowing what you need to do usually in Wisconsin to win, especially those independent voters and those swing voters who go back and forth.
Have you caught up with Josh Schoeman at all since he dropped out?
No, haven't talked. No, have not yet, other than the statement that he put out when he dropped out.
Got it. All right. Well, what's on tap for this week for you?
Great question. It's Monday, right? Who knows what's going to happen between now and Friday? Wisconsin Eye appears to be back on.
Yes, I learned that at the same time as walking into the studio this morning. I heard that it is back on.
There's some funds that the legislature is looking, like some initial kind of, I guess, emergency funds, like $50,000 from this joint committee. It appears that's moving through. It appears that the website is back and functioning. So it will be curious to see what the legislation and the fallout of that is over the coming days. But it appears at the moment the website is live.
And everyone's rejoicing, at least, or holding their breath, maybe, as far as being able to get back to doing
for everyone
their,
who was
their work.
waiting with bated breath, other than us. Yeah.
all the public just crying for Wisci to be back. Like, what am I going to watch this afternoon?
Right.
All right. Anything else that we should be looking out for this week?
Gosh, I don't know. Every day's an adventure, right?
Is it? Well, when is the debate between the Supreme Court? That's the craziest thing to me is how little we're talking about the Supreme Court race.
Our debate at Marquette Law School is coming up March 25th.
There you go. All right, Matt Smith, thanks as always.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Officials in Arizona are calling the disappearance of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother a crime scene. They are also saying they know she left with someone, but they won't elaborate further. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill scrambling to pass a compromise funding deal to end the partial government shutdown, with House Democrats reluctant to give Republicans their support. Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
Democrats in the House say that they were not part of the deal that Senator Chuck Schumer and the White House had negotiated last week that separated out that DHS funding from the 5 other funding bills. And so for the first part of this process, Democrats say you're going to have to move this forward on your own to House Speaker Mike Johnson. He'll try to do that then with just Republican vote and see where that goes.
Lawyers for some of the 80 women listed in the Epstein files have filed an emergency request with 2 federal judges saying their full names, dates of birth, home addresses, even bank information were included. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:31. I'm Connie Weber. Brookfield police investigating an officer-involved shooting following a crash Saturday night, Barker Road, just north of North Avenue. Police say a suspect ran from the scene, then fired at officers while they were searching the area. One officer returned fire. The 31-year-old man went to the hospital with potentially life-threatening injuries. One officer suffered minor injuries, but no officers were shot. A construction worker now in stable condition after falling 50 feet at a downtown Madison construction site happened near State and Fairchild Streets Saturday morning around 9:30 when a crane dropped a beam weighing at least 20,000 pounds. The employee fell with the beam through multiple sublevels of construction. Construction of the future Wisconsin History Center now on hold. Efforts to bring Amtrak service to Madison and beyond moving forward again. The project known as Hiawatha West currently in the planning phase, with Amtrak evaluating station locations alongside state and local partners. The Journal Sentinel reports the plan would extend Amtrak's Chicago to Milwaukee Hiawatha line west to stops in Pewaukee, Watertown, and Madison. Future services potentially reaching Eau Claire in the Twin Cities. The current goal to begin service as early as 2029. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow is up 413 points, 49,305. NASDAQ up 150, 23,612. S&P 500 up 36 at 6,975. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Broken down vehicle off on the right shoulder. This is going to be I-41 south, about a half mile beyond the ramp from Hampton Avenue. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Partly cloudy today, high of 25. Mostly cloudy tonight, slight chance of snow to the south, a low of 11. Sunny and 21 tomorrow, sunny and 24 on Wednesday. Partly cloudy Thursday, a chance for afternoon or evening snow, a high 32. And partly cloudy and 32 on Friday. 23 in Madison, 22 in Green Bay, 25 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:33.
3 generations ago, it was about doing one thing and doing it right.
Hardwood, tile, carpet, floors that had to last because our name, Adair, was on them. Over time, homeowners asked us to do more. Kitchens, bathrooms, full remodels. And so our name changed to Adair Floors and Remodeling.
But flooring has always been the foundation, literally.
And it's something the next generation already understands.
Hi, I'm Ava. Hi, I'm Quinn. My dad does floors.
From hardwood and luxury vinyl plank to tile and carpet, we handle selection, layout, and professional installation.
And because we also remodel homes, we know how flooring works with everything else. Transitions, finishes, and long-term durability.
When you hire Adair, you're getting experience you can stand on and people who will be here for decades to come.
Call my dad. Bye-bye.
Adair Floors and Remodeling. Built on flooring, trusted for remodels. 3 generations, 1 standard. Call us at 414-761-3660 for your free flooring estimate.
Hey, John Mercure here for Mend Studios. You deserve to feel better. You deserve to feel healthy. You deserve to feel great about yourself. Mend Studios has a long-term wellness as the goal. That's how they're going to do it. That's how they're going to take care of you. I know and trust the therapists at Mend Studio. They customize every single treatment, and they've got multiple locations. They're in Mequon and Brookfield, both convenient, both easy to get to. Start at the website, mendstudio.com. I never feel better than I do after a session at Mend. Mendstudio.com.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris talk to comedian Charlie Behrens. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristen Brey. Steve Scafidi is out until next Tuesday, and we're continuing our conversations with some great Wisconsin reporters, a tag team Mary duo. You're used to hearing Mary Spikuza drop in every once in a while, more Journal Sentinel investigative reporter.
Hello.
But her husband, Dan Simmons, freelance reporter for a bunch of different outlets, including New York Times, a lot of this as of late, also joins us. And so, Dan, welcome to the show. I think this is your first time on Point Taken.
I was on once with Steve before the last election.
Okay, well, welcome back.
Eons ago, you know.
I know.
Like...
In this news cycle, that feels like a very, very long time ago. So
10 years ago.
We're gonna straddle a handful of different topics that you both have been reporting on. But let's start, Dan, with Minnesota, because you've spent some time up there freelancing for New York Times. You're also from St. Paul.
Thank you for getting that right.
Right, not Minneapolis.
Don't say he's from Minneapolis.
St. Paul. Is there
together.
a big rivalry between the two as far as being clear on where you're from?
But you know, everyone's friends at this moment because you know there's a common foe. Yeah.
So, what can you tell us as far as being on the ground up there, of what you've been covering, what you've seen? I asked Matt, who's also from there and has been up there twice in the last month. What do you think those of us who are just observing this through the media, what the media is getting right and what you can't understand without actually being there?
I think the way it's affecting the people you aren't seeing. Obviously, you see all the protests and the unfortunately, the killings and just all the kind of rumble in the street type nature of it. But there are so many people who have been holed up in their houses, for 2 months, afraid to leave. These people are all are black and brown people, because it's simply a black and white issue up there. If you are if your skin color is darker than mine, you're at a high risk of being picked up. So I was talking to my childhood priest, who I'm featuring in a story, and he talked about how he grew up in Minneapolis, and it was super, super white. It was, probably the highest percentage, the lowest minority and foreign-born percentage in the country. And then in his 70 years, the complexion has changed completely. But now he drives around Minneapolis, and it's exactly back to where it was when he was a kid. You just don't see anyone but white people. And
you mean walking around?
Yes, just out and about, doing going to school, going to church. Reaching those people has become a real mission and focus for the folks there, not only the churches, but just general community members. It seems like everyone I know has adopted a family or 2 or 3. And that's, just a lot of mutual aid happening there. And they have to do it sort of like cloak and dagger so they don't get followed. And then the place, where they stop gets raided. It's just a lot of suffering and sorrow and isolation.
When you say adopted, you mean as in they're bringing them groceries, or what does that mean when you say adopted?
All the things that they can't do because they can't leave their house. Go to Target and get paper towels. They're like asking them, how can we help you? What do you need? Minnesotans are by nature very community oriented, and they help each other out, and they're also hyper organized. You've got that German strain, and so they've got every neighborhood has spreadsheets with people listed and what their needs are and who's going where to help them at what time. So it's highly organized but decentralized.
And so, like I said, you were freelancing for the New York Times. It does seem like the New York Times has made the choice to have a lot of boots on the ground. Is that just an observation, or can you testify that is also that they are making sure that they are getting all of this on the record?
Yeah, I have covered a lot of major national stories for them, all of them tragedies, unfortunately, and there's been nothing like this in terms of the resources they have there, committed to the story, but also actually on the ground. There's got to be 8 to 10 people. They have a little bureau there now. So they're just rotating staffers 3 or 4 at a time through, so people can get a little R&R because it's pretty heavy coverage.
And there's also, not to put in a plug for the locals all the time too, but there's, in addition to this tremendous New York Times presence, there's also the Minneapolis Star Tribune. I almost said Wisconsin. Sorry. Minnesota Public Radio.
St. Paul Pioneer Press.
Yeah, St. Paul Ethnic Report. It is a phenomenal ecosystem of reporters on the ground, as well as obviously activists who are also documenting with video. So the amount of coverage and video and kind of lights shining on this situation is pretty overwhelming. And I was following Dan's coverage and obviously the other coverage really closely.
So I guess in straddling both hats, and this is for both of you, of being journalists and doing your job, but then also this being your hometown, this also being your husband going to a highly volatile situation, how have you straddled both of those things and the emotions that have come up with it?
We're pretty used to it.
Okay. Comes with the job.
Mary covers her hometown every day and does a great job. But I am I'm working on an essay for the New Republic magazine about kind of that duality of covering it, but then having all the feels of this being the place I'm from. It's like my friend said, who was detained by ICE up there. He's just you just realize what a small town this is. And I think that's true of any metro area other than, maybe New York or LA. You just everywhere you go, I haven't lived there in 25 years, and everywhere I went, it's just like I know people who are making news, which makes my job a lot easier because I know them and they're gonna talk to me.
We joke about small walkie, but I think it's the same for the similar.
The Twin Cities area is overall with suburbs is 3 million.
Yes.
I mean, that's
something
a lot
like that.
bigger than Milwaukee.
Small Milwaukee.
And small Milwaukee, and even Milwaukee County, right? Milwaukee County is a little over 1 million, 1.5.
It is a lot. We always joke about small Milwaukee because it's not the smallest town, but it feels like it a lot of like
absolutely.
the connections and like coming in and somebody that I know and what I, and it's just and it's been interesting hearing Dan like as he's interviewing being like, oh, I know this person and I'm just like, do you know like one out of two people in the
yeah,
Twin
it's
Cities?
like 2 degrees of separation.
Right.
Like I went to cover this prayer vigil at the Renee Good site where she died the day after, and the Catholic priest who steps up is Father Kurogi, who ran the altar boy program with my mom, at St. Rose when I was like 6.
Wow.
So he's been a great source because he is a pastor. He actually went to high school with Prince. So he's like...
so really it is 2 degrees of separation.
That level of Minneapolis. And he runs a parish that's primarily foreign-born, mostly from Mexico. And so he has just absorbed this weight of history and suffering. And he said he couldn't not stand up for his community, which he normally doesn't do. So,
all right, let's take a quick break. We are talking to journalist Mary Spicuzza and her husband, also journalist Dan Simmons. We'll take a quick break. This is Point Taken.
Hey, y'all, it's the Rocket Roger Clemens here. I spent years on the mound giving everything I had, and now I feel every inning in my knees, back, and shoulders. But I didn't want surgery, and I sure didn't want to be sidelined. That's why I turned to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics Medical Director Dr. Christie and his team use regenerative treatments that help your body heal itself. No surgery, no meds, and no downtime.
Whether you're teeing off at the club or chasing the grandkids around, QC Kinetics helps you get back to doing what you love.
Call QC Kinetics now and schedule your free consultation. Natural joint pain relief with real results.
Don't let the pain slow you down. I didn't, and neither should you. My friends at QC Kinetics, they'll take care of you.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-667-5559. That's 414-667-5559. 414-667-5559.
Pizza made with pride. That's what you'll get here. With a sauce recipe over 60 years in existence that we're not changing for the world. And we just can't get ourselves to skimp. So we still use only the highest quality ingredients, like our house recipe Italian sausage and our original thin crust dough that's made fresh daily and never frozen. And of course, always 100% real mozzarella cheese. You can't beat that or a Marty's Pizza.
Marty's Pizza. Do you remember when times were good? Well, they're good again. It's as good today as it was in the past. It doesn't get any better than that. Remember Marty's Pizza.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. We've taken a lot of really cool trips. This one may be at the very top of the list. It is September 2026, Treasures of Egypt, the Grand Egyptian Museum, the Great Pyramids, the Towering Sphinx, and a 7-night Nile River cruise on a beautiful ship, Jordan, Petra. Our hotel actually has a private beach with access to the Dead Sea. Absolutely incredible. Colette Vacations will ensure everything is taken care of. I love Colette. Send me an email. I send you the information. Beautiful brochure, including pricing and a detailed itinerary. John at WTMJ.com. You hit me up, John at WTMJ.com. I've got the details for you. Lots of history, excursions, time to relax. We'll laugh and linger and have lots of world-class food and drink as the iconic monuments of Egypt and the ancient markets come to life. JOHN at WTMJ.com. John at WTMJ.com. John at WTMJ.com. Egypt this September.
Drafty windows means wasted money. Call Siding Unlimited today for energy-efficient replacement windows and doors and start saving now. For a free estimate and honest price guarantee, go to sidingunlimited.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristen Brey. We are talking with Mary Spikuza and Dan Simmons, married couple, journalist extraordinaire. All right, so switching gears from Minnesota, where Dan's been covering everything that's been going on up there, for Mary. So I did not realize until recently that you've been tasked with what I think would be a nightmare, but you are going through the Epstein files, the latest dump from last week, looking for Wisconsin connections. And so when you are tasked with something like that, it's 3.5 million documents. Where do you start? Oh, hold on. We got to get your mic on.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Okay. So I offered actually just
you
'cause-
did. You suggest. Oh my gosh.
I mean, there are a few of us.
Glutton for punishment.
Obviously. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I just mean like because it's not only just
I'm
the
married to
work,
him, but
The
I'm
barbs
joking.
are flying.
right? Because it's not just the work, right? The arduous work of that many files. It is from the tip of the iceberg of what I've seen over the weekend. It is a lot of disturbing material.
Yes.
And so it is both the psyche of like being a woman, being a mom of a daughter, and having to go through this. So you volunteered.
Well, it was more. It was, obviously it's been so busy, and then all of a sudden, kind of on Friday, I start settling down and like finishing up with any like breaking news or records requests off of that, and then I started talking with a coworker and just checking in to be like, who do you think's in there from, Milwaukee or Wisconsin, and really just starting to just randomly check names, including Wisconsin and Milwaukee, and seeing. But the files I've noticed are I found them to be pretty wonky. I don't know if it was because everybody was going through them at the same time. So sometimes I would enter a keyword that would say no matches, and then I'd enter it and find like 30. So I think there was just I don't know if it was just something I was doing with my computer or that everybody was searching them. So mainly just searching keywords, searching names. I mean, I feel like there's a difference between like being in the Epstein files and being in the Epstein files, where like if he would get newsletters about all kinds of news. So when I searched my name, which I have never spoken to Jeffrey Epstein, he had some clips of just like articles I had written about Wisconsin politics. So I feel like there's that, and then there's like exchanging emails about going to his island and doing God's know what. So we're trying to figure out, looking for just names, Wisconsin connections, Milwaukee connections, political donor connections. There was some athletic folks that got in trouble. So obviously it's one of those where it's like, this has to be done, and it might not be fun going through this. And I'm certainly not going to like tell our daughter much about anything like seedy that I'm seeing in there, but it's just, I think there's a high value to like checking. And
so then the question for me is like,
and I'm not the only one. So
no, of course. But like, what rises through the threshold of then reporting on it, right? Because that is what we are seeing of unbelievably, for me, like disturbing things that are uncorroborated accusations, but they're in there, and not knowing like, is anyone going to investigate this? Like, what do we do with this information? So when you're looking through this, how do you decipher what is in, like you said, is in there, and what is worth actually highlighting and writing an article about?
I think we'll be having we've had some conversations about it already. We'll be having a lot more conversations. And I think just kind of gathering all of the different ties and connections, and then looking at like what's substantiated, what's just like a newsletter blast that mentions somebody's name versus some kind of like personal exchange, or even if like Epstein seemed to be reaching out to somebody to try to recruit them or spend time with them. And it's like, was he interested in having lunch or setting up a lunch to make a donation or to talk about business, or was he trying to sex traffic minors or all of the above? And so I think obviously you don't want to unfairly cast somebody in a negative light and say like so-and-so was in the Epstein files if it was just that like their name was in a newsletter. So but I think we'll be having a lot of conversations with editors about what we actually report out of all of this.
Well, good luck on that. I will read what you write. I'm not sure I'm going to be spending time keyword searching the files myself. All right, let's take one more break. We're talking to Dan Simmons and Mary Spikuza, freelance reporter for Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. We'll be back right after this.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and the legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Hey everybody, it's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Access Legal. I see firsthand how hard Wisconsin workers push themselves. From the construction crews on the roads I monitor every day to the countless jobs that strain the body over time. For many, that wear and tear turns into real pain. My friends at Access Legal understand what you're going through and they want to help. Their team has recovered more than $35 million for Wisconsin workers and will fight for the benefits you're entitled to as well. Worn down by work? Contact Access Legal for a risk-free consultation. That's AXIS Legal.
Every year, I make the same resolutions.
What, get rid of your husband?
Don't be silly. No, get organized. And I'm finally keeping it.
Because we're turning that cluttered closet into a custom space that actually works.
More shelves, better hanging,
space for shoes and sanity.
Start the new year with a closet that makes your mornings easier.
It's one resolution you don't have to do alone. We'll design it with you.
Get started at InspiredClosetsMilwaukee.com.
Inspired Closets.
A wife and husband team.
St. Anne's Center for Intergenerational Care switched from a previous vendor to business technology from James Imaging Systems. Why? CFO Sally Parente.
The service, the value, and the ease with which we can just keep using their service and not having any big headaches. It's not just all about the money. We're getting value here as well.
Robert Prang, CIO with Tri-City National Bank, likes the fact that James Imaging is local.
So being able to work with a local company like James that has that flexibility with their staff and being able to deliver for us has given us the ability to make the right decisions for our organization.
And Junior Achievement of Wisconsin VP of Enterprise Services, Lori Salzman, had this advice for others.
If anybody is looking for a good partner that is there to help find solutions, call James Imaging.
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Visit jamesimaging.com.
Enjoy a free dinner on Valentine's Day at the historic Fox and Hound Supper Club. Savor a 10-ounce prime rib with a 5-ounce lobster tail and all the sides for $74.99 for 2 dinners. Call and reserve your free Valentine's Day dinner today. Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Yeah, Debbie, this is Dan. South of K, there's a car fire in the southbound lane closing off 3 lanes.
Call me, Debbie Loziga, on the WTMJ traffic tip line, 414-238-9329.
Hey, Debbie, just calling in. There's 2 separate accidents, 94 westbound.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it?
There was an accident. There's already 4 cops there and an ambulance.
Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, a couple more minutes with Dan Simmons and Mary Spikuza. And actually, Dan, we had a question on the text line from 2 different people. One was speaking to people who are not leaving their houses in Minnesota. Why can't they leave their house? Are they illegal? And then another person who said, why black or brown people have to hide in their houses if they could just present their identification? So what's your answer to that?
Yeah, really good questions. When this started, the working assumption was if I have papers and I can demonstrate that I'm a citizen no matter what I look like.
Or have an asylum case or something.
Yeah, if I can demonstrate that I'm here legally, whether I'm a permanent citizen or not, I'm safe. And so that was sort of the working assumption. But over the last 2 months, that assumption has completely vanished because of multiple high-profile cases. The most recent, the 5-year-old and his dad, who were taken despite having shown documents to their school district, in the days prior to being taken that demonstrated clearly they were here legally. They have an asylum case pending, and so they were detained anyway. And to the government's credit, under a lot of pressure, they did return them, but not before they were flown to Texas and really scared into submission. So it's just a climate of fear. where that assumption about having papers and documentation was a get out of ice free token has been proven not to be true.
Okay. So basically that you're not safe just because you have your papers from being detained, stopped, or even assaulted.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, they're just, story after story after story, and especially in the immigrant communities. And so it's just created a climate of fear.
Got it. All right. Well, I didn't want to end on a sad note. Well, I did a quick, in 20 seconds, what is it like to have two journalists in the house?
Awkward at times. We sometimes have to hide things from each other. Like I will, if we're working on a secret story, I don't tell Dan about it. Or if I get
Mary
a good
knows
tip.
everything and everyone and everything in Milwaukee, so I expect to get beat.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, this was really fun to have you both here together. So thank you so much, Dan Simmons, Mary Spikuza. We'll have to have you both on together again very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right. We'll be back after the top of the hour news for Point Taken.
At Capri Communities, they believe people of every age deserve to enjoy life.
I recently moved my dad into a Capri community. He has gained such new independence. His falls have decreased, he's eating healthy meals, and going on great new adventures. Knowing Dad is in a great place really gives me the peace of mind I needed. And now, we're both enjoying life again.
Give the care that has your parent enjoying life again at Capri Communities. Get started today at capricommunities.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert with my son David, president of Accunet. David, we're pre-approving a lot of home shoppers this time of year. Why should someone choose Accunet for their pre-approval?
Dad, getting pre-approved with just any lender is like showing up to a first date in sweatpants. Sure, you're there, but are you really ready to impress? Our rock-solid pre-approval is like showing up in your best outfit with reservations already made. We also have an excellent reputation among real estate agents, so having Accunet's name on your pre-approval can make the difference.
What else?
In addition to clearly stating we verified your credit, income, and down payment, we'll also run the specific home you're looking to buy through our underwriting software to see if we can approve your loan without an appraisal, which sellers and their agents absolutely love. Bottom line, we do everything possible to help you win.
Thanks, David. Don't settle for anything less. Get started with your rock-solid pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at Accunet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
MW Marine.
Anglers, looking to up your game on Lake Michigan? Join MW Marine in Hales Corners for a free fishing seminar this Saturday at 11 a.m. Meet Tyler Schrader, Ranger and Mercury Pro, as he gives an introduction to small boat Lake Michigan trolling. Perfect for weekend fishermen. No reservations needed, just show up. Plus, check out all the new boats on display. That's this Saturday at 11 a.m. at MW Marine in Hales Corners.
Oh, boy, it's getting so expensive to dine out, but not at the Mine Chef restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The Mine Chef is family-owned, understands inflation hurts. Every Monday when you buy one pizza, you get a second pizza absolutely free. Any size, any quantity. You buy one, get one free. Buy two, get two free. Buy 10 pizzas, get 10 free pizzas. Business owners, managers, bring in pizza for your hardworking employees and your key clients. They're going to love it because it's delicious pizza and your second pizza's free, saving your company a ton of money. Bring your family in today for free pizza. Your kids will love that world-class game room. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and near EAA in Oshkosh, just off the interstate. Lots of seating, lots of close parking. No need to cook. Don't think about cleaning today. Mondays can be tough enough. Buy one pizza, get one free at the Mine Shaft. Plenty to take home for tomorrow. Desserts, and I love their desserts, are also buy one, get one free. Just walk in today for your free Monday pizza. MineShaftRestaurant.com.
Hi, this is Michelle Voskel, CPA and team member at the Neal Group. If 2025 didn't go exactly as planned, you're not alone. You made it through, and that's what counts. Now it's time for taxes, and for a lot of people, that's when the stress kicks in, especially if things got messy along the way. The good news? A rough year doesn't mean a ruined future. We helped Nate fix a tax mess with the IRS created by one of those national firms and saved him $103,000 in penalties, plus another $150,000 in taxes, because we know the tax law. Imagine walking into tax season with a plan, clarity, and someone in your corner who knows the tax law and knows how to use it. You earned it. We help you keep it. Call us now at 414-325-2040 to arrange a meeting to see how we can help you. Don't wait. Call now. That's 414-325-2040 or visit nealgroup.net.
Breaking news as it happens. Stay up to date with your trusted and relevant source in news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
11:03, we're at 25 degrees. Not going to get much warmer than that today. Becoming partly cloudy. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. City of Milwaukee has a new website that compiles resources for immigrants. The Know Your Rights and Available Resources page includes preparedness toolkits, general fact sheets, and links to legal services. Legal services, that is. Milwaukee police remind the public that
a person's right to file a police report, participate in police community activities, or otherwise benefit from police services is not contingent upon their immigration status.
Milwaukee Common Council says the website is one of several steps they're taking to keep residents informed and protected. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill this morning scrambling to pass a comprehensive funding deal to end the partial government shutdown, but Democrats say some concessions will need to be made before that happens. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
The sticking points remain new restrictions on ICE. Now, last week, the president cut a deal with Senate Democrats to pass a 2-week extension of funding for the Department of Homeland Security to buy time to negotiate, but Democrats over in the House aren't totally on board. It means that Speaker Mike Johnson will likely have to pass this with just Republican votes. And even if he pulls that off, Congress would then have just 2 weeks to reach a deal on a host of thorny issues related to ICE.
House Rules Committee meeting today to discuss setting up that floor vote. As it released more than 3 million pages of Epstein files late last week, the Justice Department says it likely made mistakes in failing to properly redact victims' names and would seek to quickly correct those mistakes once they've been identified. Deputy Attorney Todd Blanche says no additional charges will be filed as of now in the case. Wisconsin has seen a slight increase in population, but the state could possibly lose a congressional seat in the next few years.
The latest figures from the U.S. Census Bureau show the state's population rose a bit over the summer, sitting at just under 6 million residents. But state officials are warning that could start to go down with an aging population and declining school enrollment. The Wisconsin Department of Administration is predicting the state's population will drop to 5.7 million by 2050. And with the population trend, Dr. Jonathan Service of Carnegie Mellon University projects that Wisconsin will lose 1 seat in the U.S. House after the 2030 census. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
Today's show host Savannah Guthrie's mother missing in southern Arizona. Authorities say they received a 911 call about 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie Sunday afternoon. She was last seen at her home in Pima County the evening before. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow up 487, NASDAQ up 179, S&P 500 up 46. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:05.
Before you go looking for an area rug that you'll have to settle for because you think that the one you really want will be out of your budget, come to Design Exchange, where you'll find a formidable selection of Oriental, Persian, and other wool area rug choices at 25 to 70% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
If you're trying to find really good, high-end, distinctive furniture, the kind they just don't make anymore, then come to Design Exchange. But you better get here quickly, because the best furniture we take in on consignment doesn't usually last long. It may be vintage, it may have once been out of your range, but now you'll find it's priced right. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value.
Design Exchange.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Milwaukee lost 107-79 to the Boston Celtics. Bucks have now lost 5 games in a row. They return home to face off with the Bulls on Tuesday. The Marquette women's basketball team beat Georgetown 67-59. Milwaukee men's basketball team has lost back-to-back games. Panthers' comeback bid came up short in a 90-88 home loss to Cleveland State. Milwaukee back in action Wednesday against Detroit Mercy. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver. Traffic, a disabled vehicle off on the right shoulder, I-41 south, about a half mile beyond the ramp from Hampton Avenue. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Becoming partly cloudy today. We're at 25. That's our high today. Mostly cloudy tonight. Slight chance of snow to the south with a low of 11. Sunny 21 tomorrow. Sunny 24 on Wednesday. Partly cloudy Thursday with a chance of afternoon and evening snow. A high of 32 and partly cloudy 32 again on Friday. 24 in Madison, 23 in Green Bay, 25 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 11:08.
The work week is here. Let's begin with your Monday market preview with Annex Wealth Management CEO Dave Spano on Point Taken.
Welcome back to Point Taken, Monday, Hour 2. CEO of Annex Wealth Management, Dave Spano. Can you hear me? All right. It looks like we are still trying to get Dave on the phone this morning. So we will see if producer Alex, filling in for Jazz, can work that out. But in the meantime, I know one of the things we wanted to talk to Dave about was the partial government shutdown that is happening right now, and if there's any impact on the markets this morning. But then also Bitcoin. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I know we've talked about crypto a fair amount on this show throughout the months, I guess now almost approaching a year. But I don't know how many people of our listeners are investors in crypto. But Bitcoin fell 11% last month for its fourth straight losing month. And February, today, I guess we're 2 days in, is not off to a great start for the flagship crypto either. So this weekend it fell below $76,000, meaning it's declined about 40% from its all-time high of $126,200, which was set in October. So that was reached along with during unprecedented institutional interest in Bitcoin. And so I wanted to get Dave's opinion on that. And so I think we're waiting to see if Dave can hear me now. Nope. Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a really quick commercial, try to get Dave, come back, and we'll talk about all of these things, including the fall of the dollar and who that helps and hurts. So stay with us on Point Taken as we try to get Mr. Dave Spano on the line.
Say I love you with the gift of music this Valentine's Day weekend as the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra welcomes Grammy-nominated vocalist Steve Lippia for a Simply Swingin' Valentine February 13th through the 15th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Don't wait for Cupid to do all the work. You can reserve your seats now by calling 414-291-7605 or visit mso.org. Enjoy a most romantic date night as Steve Lippia and the MSO serve up a mix of jazzy songs and arrangements made popular by the likes of Nat King Cole, Tony Bennett, and Frank Sinatra. You and your date are sure to go home humming and whistling tune after memorable tune from the Great American Songbook. A Simply Swingin' Valentine runs February 13th through the 15th only, so call the box office now for tickets and more information. The number again is 414-291-7605 or online at mso.org.
It's WTMJ's Julia Fellow for Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. If you're looking for expert care without that cold clinical vibe, Sweet Talks is where beauty, wellness, and self-confidence comes together in such a fun, welcoming space. Sweet Talks offers injectables, advanced skin treatments, even wellness services like weight loss or hormone optimization. Sweet Talks provides a comprehensive consultation designed just for you. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
From the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom, the nation's border czar says he's working with leaders in Minnesota as he takes over immigrant enforcement operations in the state.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather.
After Wisconsin's first measles case of the year in Waukesha County, more than 50 people are now under quarantine for possible exposure.
Every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had snoring issues, right? Kept my wife, Kathy, up many nights, too many nights. Probably woke myself up a lot more than I realized. Poor sleep, tossing and turning, tired mornings. Kristen would say grouchy mornings on the radio. But I did something about it, which is me, action plan guy. I went to Advent as a customer and a client, 30-minute visit. They walked me through my issues, answered my questions, added a really simple sleep study at home, determined my problem, sinuses, nasal passage in my breathing triangle. After a short procedure, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, breathing better than ever, 5.5 years ago. Now I sleep through the whole night. That's worth the price of admission. If you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com. Adventknows.com. Schedule an appointment today because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
No matter how many people are in your family, buying new jackets for the cold weather months can be expensive. But when you shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, prices on cold weather jackets will give you a sigh of relief because thrift store prices mean great deals. And right now we have a great selection. Find great deals on cold weather jackets for the family at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
All right, welcome back. I'm Kristen Brey. This is Point Taken. Steve is on vacation. And Dave Spano is on the phone.
Yep.
There he is. How are you today, Dave?
Yeah, sorry about that, Kristen. Little tech issues today.
You know, sometimes technology enables us and sometimes it hinders us, but that's okay.
Exactly.
How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. I hope you enjoyed yours as well. Hopefully start getting warmer pretty soon.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully it will start getting warmer, but I'm not holding my breath, especially. Did you see that the rhino at the Milwaukee County Zoo?
He's not happy.
The continued replacement of a groundhog at the Milwaukee County Zoo. I think he chose the clouds, if I was correct. There's no shadow. It was just which picture, a cloud or sunshine, he meandered towards.
Yes. Well, rhinos need work too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk markets and the economy.
Yep.
So I guess out of the gate, are you seeing anything with this partial government shutdown and the impact on the markets this morning?
Yeah, not really. So, we've seen this before, even this one that we just had, which was one of the longest ones ever, for 40 plus days. The market just keeps cranking along. It really becomes just a disruption to Americans and really not to the government or to the economy. And so when either party does that, it's just really disrupting everyday Americans who can't get some of the services that they want. But the economy keeps moving along and the government keeps moving along. We'll probably see a continuing resolution. But again, it's politics at the challenge to the American people.
Absolutely. So the other thing that I don't know if you could hear me in the last segment when I wanted to get your thoughts on what's happening with Bitcoin. Because back in October, It was at a record high. It was like $126,000 per Bitcoin. And now it is below $76,000. And so what are you interpreting as far as the flagship cryptocurrency and its devaluation happening right now and what that means across the market?
Yeah, there's so much that goes into that conversation. First of all, I just wanted to call out. I'm sure you saw what the challenge is now with Bitcoin, because during the Iranian revolt, they shut off the internet access, and guess what they couldn't do? They couldn't get access to their cryptos. So the safe haven that people thought it was digitally connected, and they couldn't get to it. So it showed one of the risks that there is in Bitcoin, but it's just really a bigger picture of what's happening with the United States debt, with what's happening with the dollar, what's happening with Iran at the moment, so there's geopolitical risk, and all of this is kind of playing in together. You saw what happened to gold. Gold had a little bit of a pullback after its meteoric rise. You saw gold all the way over almost $5,600 an ounce, which is incredible. And then JP Morgan came out late last week and said, who knows, it could go to 8,000. And so there is all this speculation that is going, but these are all pieces are connected, Kristen, between really the debt the unrest that we have, the government geopolitical risks, and the Federal Reserve. These are all topics that you and I could spend the rest of the hour talking about.
So, and how much is that also tied? Because I feel like I've seen headline after headline talking about the devaluation of the U.S. dollar. And so
right.
is that a part of this, or is it a driver of this?
Yeah, it's part of it.
Okay.
So, and again, you have to put it some in perspective. Yes, the dollar is down about 8% since January 1st. I think that was the peak last year, but it is also up 6.5% from a year ago. And so, when you talk about the dollar, you have to compare it to another currency. I mean, it doesn't stand alone. So if the dollar is down in comparison to what, and that's really some of the things that we have to look at. And the more debt that we have in this country now, $38 trillion, and the interest rates staying up, it looks like now that we're going to get a new Fed chair, hopefully sometime soon, that maybe interest rates will come back down. But I don't think you're going to see current Chair Powell do anything with interest rates if he is exiting stage left here coming up here before the end of the year. So we may just have a stand pat on interest rates until we get a new Fed chair. Why is that important? Because when you have $38 trillion of debt, the interest rates that we pay, that's interest on the debt. And so the higher amount of interest really is an issue, and it's going to continue to compound. And so that's one of the reasons you're starting to see the dollar start to decrease. And then, of course, you see all of this political unrest, call it from Greenland to Canada, all of the things wherever Trump is picking on today. All of that means that people are moving away from the U.S. dollar to some extent. The U.S. dollar remains the world's reserve currency, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So those are the things that we have to pay attention to. I think new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh, though, is going to try to reduce the Fed's balance sheet. That might play a big part of where interest rates go coming here in the next several months, in fact, throughout the year.
So when we talk about a weakening dollar, as far as for consumers, and we talk about the K economy and affordability, who does a weaker dollar hurt or help?
Yeah, so a weaker dollar is good for companies that produce here and sell abroad.
Okay.
But it is not good for people who import, so Americans who want imported goods. That means that it is higher. Those are higher prices. So that's generally not good. One of the things that you want to look at, too, is commodities are priced in dollars. And so it's really important the way the dollar goes, the way commodity prices are going. So right now, if the dollar continues to weaken, you're going to see commodity prices move in inverse direction. One of the commodities, though, that is performing very well is oil. You can see crude down and continues to go down. We'll see if that is a good thing. I mean, it is a good thing, and that's good for American consumers because lower oil prices means lower prices at the pump, lower prices, and we all know this now, to heat our homes. That is a good thing when you start to see lower energy prices.
Got it. As you mentioned, Trump did announce his replacement or his new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh. What should those of us who know nothing about Kevin Warsh know about him?
Yeah, well, he's a smart person for sure. I think he's got a law degree from Stanford and Yale. He's a smart guy. He's been around. He has taken. This is his second tour of duty. He was on the Fed some years back, and he has talked really about. See, there's a couple of things that the Fed does. We talk about their dual mandate, but they have a couple of tools. One of the famous tools that we often talk about is lowering short-term interest rates. But they have other things that they can do. One of them is they have what's called a balance sheet. And what they do is they go out and buy bonds. And so he doesn't like the size of the Fed's balance sheet right now. And so he is probably going to try to lower that for, $6.6 trillion, probably lower that back down to where it was. And it's fun to watch the Fed chairs. In my long-term career, let me think about this, probably the sixth Fed chair in 40 years that we've had. So it's pretty unique to get a new Fed chair. I go all the way back to Paul Volcker in the 1980s. We remember Greenspan walking around with his famous briefcase. Ben Bernanke, Janet Yellen, and Powell all were relatively short term. Bernanke was probably around for about 8 years. But they went through Yellen pretty quick, and now Powell 8 years. And so we'll see for Warsh, but this is a pretty unusual situation to get a new Fed chair, especially one who, he talks about being a dove and lowering interest rates. He's a little bit more hawkish than we think he is. So we'll see if that lowering of this balance sheet, Kristen, what that does to interest rates. So it may not be as accretive as Mr. Trump would like.
I was going to say, and how do you feel about his quote-unquote independence as far as his being appointed by Trump? There's obviously a lot of drama that has happened between Jerome Powell and Trump over the last year. Is there speculation at all as far as how he will, I don't want to use the word govern, but for lack of a better word, govern the Fed?
Yeah, I think that's a fair word. But Powell was a Trump appointee as well.
Yeah.
And so you just have to go back. They're supposed to be independent. That Trump tried to make people read this as interference, but there really is only so much you can do. Kevin Warsh, even though if he becomes chair, which is the anticipated outcome, he's still just one vote. He's one vote, and so I think you're going to see a more independent Fed than you have seen before, and so we'll see, really what he's trying to get done, and the idea of trying to keep interest rates low is going also a function. I always joke that, Kristen, that you and I could be a Fed chair, because you look at what the 10-year Treasury is, and they kind of manage. That's called the neutral rate. They kind of manage to that 10-year rate, so we could just look at that thing and say, where does the market think interest rates should be? So even if we get the cuts that are anticipated all the way through 2026, you're still talking about moving from 3.75 to 3.25. It's not tremendous.
Yeah.
It is 50 basis points. I like it because it lowers the interest on the debt, and it also makes housing more affordable. Those are two outcomes that I would like to see happen.
Got it. All right. Anything else you're watching for this week that we should know about?
Yeah, earnings for sure. We're in the middle of earnings season. Lots of stuff coming out, and we see a lot of negative news. But folks, the earnings reports are supposed to look pretty good again this year. And in fact, this quarter up about 8%. Generally, the market moves, in lockstep over time with good earnings. So we'll see what that looks like as we go throughout the rest of the year. And of course, the other thing that I would just say is, it's Super Bowl week, right? And every now and then you see, during football, you see a quarterback just bark something, right? And he's trying to get the other side to go off sides. And so we're seeing a lot of that right now. We see a lot of barking and jumping back off sides, but make sure your portfolio is not off sides, because you can see this broadening out of the market means that a more balanced portfolio again proves to be the right decision.
I like that layman metaphor you got there.
That was pretty good. A little football
analogy in there. All right. Speaking of which, you have a favorite or someone you're rooting for in the Super Bowl, or you're like me and don't care?
I kind of don't care. Boston and New England has won a lot. My daughter's in Boston. It would be, if you have to pick the least evil, I suppose that would be it. But Seattle's going to have a lot of news coming up, because the ownership of the Allen family is probably going to sell the team after the Super Bowl. So it'll be really interesting, some side stories that come out of this Super Bowl week.
Absolutely. All right. As always, Dave Spano, thank you for your time and your insight. We really appreciate it. And we'll have better tech issues next week. I can confirm.
Got it. You got it.
All right. Dave
Sounds good.
Have a great day. Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management. When we come back, we'll finish up the bottom of the hour. All right. This is Point Taken. I'm Kristen Brey.
Yeah. Bye.
Day after day, year after year, the heavy lifting, the repetitive motion, and now your body feels it. Your back, your knees, your quality of life.
At Access Legal, we stand up for people worn down by work.
Workers' comp is our sole focus, and our team has recovered more than $35 million for Wisconsin workers. From sudden accidents to pain that builds over years of hard work, we're dedicated to fighting for the benefits you're entitled to. If you've been worn down by work, contact Access Legal for a risk-free consultation.
Search AXIS Legal today.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi. Fleet Farm's Paws and Claws sale is here. Now through February 8th. Save on everything pet and wild bird at Fleet Farm. Find great deals on food, treats, and toys for your furry and feathered friends. And hey, the big game is right around the corner, and Fleet Farm is here to help you host a winning game day party. Score deals on snacks, furniture, and must-have cookware. DeWalt deals, those deal days are going on right now at Fleet Farm. Find exclusive savings on trusted power tool combos, accessories, storage, and more. Only in-store at Fleet Farm. The DeWalt deal days now through Sunday, only at Fleet Farm.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris talk to comedian Charlie Behrens. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Big thanks to Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management, as always, for joining us. And then coming up next, I am excited to have a conversation with former governor of Indiana, Mitch Daniels. So later this month, he's going to be in Madison at the UW-Madison La Follette School of Public Affairs. They are doing their spring spotlight conversation with him, and it's titled Higher Ed, Public Policy, and Divided America with Governor Mitch Daniels. And so he's going to join us after this to talk a little bit about that, but also talk about civility. And he had kind of been out of the news, or at least not commenting on partisan politics until, if you remember, Indiana was one of the states that was getting pushed to redistrict mid-decade. And he actually came out pretty strongly and advising the Indiana state legislature against doing that. And they didn't. They actually stood up to Trump and said we are not going to redistrict, despite a pretty heavy campaign trying to urge Republicans in the state to go along with it. And so I'm excited to talk to him about that, of like why that issue was what he decided to get loud about, because he wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post, but then also just kind of get his thoughts on where we're at when it comes to working together in the time that, especially since he was governor, I think, 12 years ago. So a lot's changed in the last 12 years. So that's coming up after the bottom of the hour news. And so stick around for that. But also, just in general, it's always funny on Monday when we have a lineup of back-to-back guests, because we kind of dictate what we're going to talk about based on the guest's expertise. But let me just do a quick rundown of what happened over the weekend as far as top headlines. Liam Ramos, the 12-year-old that was taken, him and his father have been released from the Texas Detention Center. There was a major upset in Texas where a Democrat, Taylor Ramett, flipped a Republican state Senate seat that Trump had won by 17 points. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said that the White House is attempting to extort $230 million from the Department of Justice as President Trump seeks a settlement for past legal troubles. Trump says DHS won't respond to protests in Democrat-led cities unless they ask for help. And Trump is apparently planning to close the Kennedy Center for the Arts for 2 years for renovations. Whew!
News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Arizona authorities are asking for the public's health after the mother of Today host Savannah Guthrie disappeared from her home this weekend. Pima County sheriffs suspect foul play, they say, after searching Nancy Guthrie's home, saying they have a crime scene. ABC's Melissa Adon has more.
Reporters in the room there were questioning, how do we know that it is in fact a crime? Well, investigators saying that they don't want to compromise their investigation so far, but what they do know is what they found yesterday was so concerning that they have now put together some of this evidence that they're going through, because they feel confident that essentially 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie could not have just walked out of that home alone.
House lawmakers not due back until tomorrow to take up a possible vote on a spending package, all to end the partial government shutdown. Key funding for DHS hanging in the balance as Democrats push for changes to federal immigration operations. And another round of cold temperatures as far south as Florida, keeping the grip. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Connie Weber. 8 people, including 2 babies, rescued from a burning apartment building early Sunday morning. Fire-trapped residents inside a 2-story building near 77th and Green Tree. The building did not have a sprinkler system. Federal judge has ruled Wisconsin and 16 other states will continue to receive federal funding to build more electric vehicle charging stations. White House froze funding for the program last year due to policy changes. The judge's ruling means Wisconsin will get $62 million to build more EV chargers. As of last year, there were around 37,000 electric vehicles registered in the Badger State. New real ID penalties at airports began Sunday. Travelers flying without a real ID or another acceptable form of identification now face extra costs and delays at TSA checkpoints. The TSA has rolled out the new option called TSA Confirm ID. It allows travelers without proper ID to fly for a $45 fee after additional identity verification and screenings. Officials strongly urge travelers to bring a real ID, passport, or another approved ID to avoid delays or missed flights. Time for some news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 490 points, 49,382. The Nasdaq up 192 at 23,653. S&P 500 up 49 points at 6,988. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver. Traffic I-41 north at the ramp from Wisconsin Highway 20. We have a fire there. It is off on the right shoulder, blocking that shoulder. Might be some slowing in that area. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Partly cloudy today, high of 25, which is our current temperature. A slight chance of snow south tonight with a low of 11. Mostly sunny, 21 for the high tomorrow. Sunny and 24 on Wednesday. Thursday, partly cloudy with a chance of snow in the afternoon or evening, high 32, and partly cloudy, 32 on Friday. 24 in Madison, 23 in Green Bay, 25 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:33.
Recently, a seller that unfortunately ended up choosing another agent called me. She said she made a mistake, and what she was expressing to me sounded like she kind of was bullied into signing with him. Is it typical? Not always, but it will never happen when you hire a Century 21 Benefit Realty agent. I want our agents to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'd want to work with me, not because they're good at saying what you want to hear or offer the lowest commission, but because of trust. Because if you're not feeling that from your agent, that's a problem, and I don't want that. At 1.9% on the listing side of your sale with our commission capped at $19,000, Century 21 Benefit Realty leads with a very fair and transparent commission structure with maximum marketing that can get your home sold fast and for the best price. And saving money matters, but working with someone who will tell you exactly what you need to know up front, that creates trust. And that matters too. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Real James Imaging Systems clients. You've heard them right here on the radio for years. For instance, Chris Willems, office manager with Previan Law Firm.
I like the fact that the company is local and I can always get a hold of my representative who I have on speed dial or I have a cell phone.
Then there's James Imaging Systems client Preston Clark, who oversees IT services at Creative Business Interiors.
If I do need service, they're here almost within 4 hours every time. I've never had an issue where I'm like, where is that guy?
James Imaging Systems business technology client Lori Salzman, Vice President of Enterprise Services at Junior Achievement of Wisconsin.
I've never met an organization that is so responsive to make sure that we are up and running all the time for us to be more efficient and allow us to focus more on the work that we do for helping young people.
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. To learn more, visit jamesimaging.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristen Brey. Steve is out until next Tuesday, sunning in Cancun. Although it feels like it's sunning here, it's a whopping 26 degrees, which does feel like summer compared to what we've had for the last couple weeks. All right. So later this month, on February 16th at 7 p.m. in Madison, former Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels is going to be headlining at UW-Madison La Follette School of Public Affairs, their spring spotlight, with a conversation titled Higher Ed, Public Policy, and a Divided America with Governor Mitch Daniels. If you are unfamiliar, Mitch Daniels served as a two-term governor in Indiana from 2005 to 2013, and then was the 12th president of Purdue University from 2013 to 2022, and now currently serves as a distinguished scholar and senior advisor at the Liberty Fund, and he joins us now. Welcome to the show, Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Kristen.
So I'm so excited to talk to you about a variety of different things, but I think at least most recently, which now feels like an eternity ago because of our news cycle, but you popped back up in partisan politics, specifically to campaign against Indiana giving into redistricting in the middle of the decade. You wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post saying, I want the GOP to keep control of the House, but not this way. And so what was it about this issue that inspired you to speak up?
I think that we've got more than enough cynicism in our politics and in our public spaces these days now, and to see both sides trying to rig the game in their favor, frantically redrawing lines in many states were already gerrymandered. I just thought was corrosive of the sort of public confidence that we hope to see restored in the country. So I did devote one of the columns that I still write for the Washington Post to this subject, and I was pleased ultimately when the Republican Party in our state, which is dominant at the moment, voted it down. And that was the first place and almost the only place where either side's resisted the temptation to, as I say, try to fix the outcome of the next election.
Has there been much conversation since that vote? I mean, I think for those of us who agree with you as far as this was a race to the bottom as far as trying to redistrict all these different places just to take control of the House. But in the aftermath since that vote and the Republicans in the state legislature in Indiana voting it down, has things kind of gone back to normal, or is there still fallout that's happened from that?
I wouldn't call it normal. The president and his allies have declared that they will, those who decline to go along with this mid-decade redistricting, there's a primary and
oh, I think we're having a bad connection right now. Governor Daniels, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, okay. Now we got you back.
We good?
We're good now. Yes, now I can hear you.
Maybe I should start that answer over again.
Start it over, yes.
Things are not back. Things are not back to normal. The president and his allies, but the president personally, has indicated they intend to exact vengeance on those Republican senators in this case who didn't go along with their demands to redistrict in the middle of the decade. And so we have a primary in May, and apparently there'll be a lot of outside money spent to persuade Republican primary voters that these folks should be ejected in favor of more compliant, let's say, loyal Trump supporters. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But I think these people acted on principle. They showed a lot of courage, and those are two commodities have been in too scarce a supply lately. So I admire them what they did, and I hope they prevail.
So speaking on that subject, as far as you've written a lot about the breakdown of basic societal norms, and so which norms do you worry about the most, and why do you see those as guardrails for democracy?
Working back from the what I consider the most alarming end of the spectrum, so-called lawfare, which both sides have practiced, going after people using the tools of government, the tools of the state to attempt to punish political opponents. We saw the IRS under the last administration plainly going after nonprofit groups who took positions they didn't approve of. Many people saw the same thing in the way they went after the now president, and this administration's made it even worse. So that's one I hope the courts and public opinion will combine to rein in. Right behind that comes the what we just talked about, the apparent willingness of both sides to twist and use our justice again to get the outcome they want. I hope here too that we'll see some back to in the direction of propriety. I think the excesses of this redistricting festival that we're in the middle of, maybe, for instance, will boost the idea of nonprofit commissions, which many states operate now, to try to draw these lines in a more fair way. After that, I don't know if we can ever get away now that the standards have been lowered as they have in terms of the vilification of opponents, the coarse nature of our discourse, politicians throwing around profanity and F word. Something. I'm not sure when those standards, maybe they're a little less damaging than the first ones I talked about.
We're talking to Governor Mitch Daniels, who served as a two-term governor in the state of Indiana. Let's take a quick break right now and make sure that we have the strongest connection possible with your phone, because we keep cutting in and out. So let's take a quick break, and we'll continue with our conversation with Governor Mitch Daniels after this.
The Milwaukee Weight Loss Program has been able to change the lives of thousands of people with this incredible metabolic reset program. We know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day with no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no counting points or calories, no drugs, no surgery, and no injections with the risk of serious side effects. There's no better time than now to give yourself the gift of a new you in this new year. Schedule your free consultation now by visiting MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scafidi from Milwaukee Weight Loss and MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Many patients just like me, because in 2025, I lost 45 pounds. Yes, 45 pounds. And here's the cool thing. I kept that weight off. Many patients don't lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two. Call right now for your free weight loss consultation. Easy. 262-449-1180. Here's the number, 262-449-1180, or go online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Don't wait. Call today or go online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
3 generations ago, it was about doing one thing and doing it right.
Hardwood, tile, carpet, floors that had to last because our name, Adair, was on them. Over time, homeowners asked us to do more. Kitchens, bathrooms, full remodels. And so our name changed to Adair Floors and Remodeling.
But flooring has always been the foundation, literally.
And it's something the next generation already understands.
Hi, I'm Ava. Hi, I'm Quinn. My dad does floors.
From hardwood and luxury vinyl plank to tile and carpet, we handle selection, layout, and professional installation.
And because we also remodel homes, we know how flooring works with everything else. Transitions, finishes, and long-term durability.
When you hire Adair, you're getting experience you can stand on and people who will be here for decades to come.
Call my dad. Bye-bye.
Adair Floors and Remodeling. Built on flooring, trusted for remodels. 3 generations, 1 standard. Call us at 414-761-3660 for your free flooring estimate.
Tyson's has the tools you need to tackle any project. Shop our mega tool sale going on now through February 3rd. Save big on the best tool brands like Milwaukee, DeWalt, Grip, Hobart, Black Diamond, and more. Pick up a 3-pack of Milwaukee batteries for only $249, or save $40 on a Milwaukee 13-piece hole saw kit. Save $150 on a DeWalt hammer drill kit or a DeWalt impact wrench kit. Shop our weekly deals and more at your local Tyson store or online at Tysons.com. Now through February 3rd.
All different types of injury lawyers advertise. Cartoon lawyers, bobblehead lawyers, and folks chasing ambulances with text messages. Our clients don't want or need such lawyers. Our clients know, like, and trust that Pasternak and Zergabel will help in their time of need. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are excellent personal injury lawyers in our community. If you need help after an injury, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com. That's injurywisconsin.com.
Prizes, flyaways, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting WTMJ.com/contests. That's WTMJ.com/contests.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristen Brey. Steve is out for the rest of this week. We're talking to former Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels ahead of his conversation happening in Madison on February 16th at UW-Madison's La Follette School of Public Affairs. And one of the reasons I know that they invited you is because a major tenet for La Follette is talking about civility and bridging, trying to lower polarization, and a lot of the conversation of breaking down, like we said before, the societal norms of good policy making, taking people from all sides, actually finding common ground. And so You've said in the past, Governor, that it takes courage, not cowardice, to find common ground. What do you think that looks like today when both sides are so dug in and almost it's seen as weakness sometimes to try to find common ground when it comes to our policymakers?
I think that's why the gumption to do it. As you just said, the currency of debate now for the last few years has been to see who could fashion the best playground insult, who could, say the most harsh things about the other side. And sometimes I think one side's own partisans expect their champions to outdo the other side in that way. Given up, though, that we'll see some recoil from that and some return. I do think there are an awful lot of Americans who are exhausted and more or less fed up by the nonstop vituperation from both sides. It's not forever ago. My one tour in elected office, right to the end, the easiest applause line I could get in a speech would be to point out that in 3 elections, the primary and 2 generals, we had never run a negative ad about anybody, never impugned anybody's motives or background or character. And, people responded very, very positively to that. And I have not abandoned hope that we could like that again. In the column you talked about, I was trying to ask the question, are these phenomena that bother us pendulums or ratchets? Because some standards slip and they ratchet down. They're not going to go back in the other direction. But we've seen just as often swings back and forth in our politics, and we might see one here. I hope we do.
I hope we do too. And so, if it were to be a pendulum instead of a ratchet, do you feel like that starts from individual responsibility, both from lawmakers and from us, the public, of what we expect from these conversations, or is it actual policy that needs to be implemented for the pendulum to swing back to actual compromise or actual character versus just a race to the bottom?
I don't think you can pass a law about it. I think it does have to be the power of example and behavior with people in positions of responsibility, candidates for top offices, and a public that begins to respond, provide positive reinforcement for that. This is not, by the way, just a matter of being nice to each other. I think people I know in Wisconsin, people in my home state, are typically civil and easy to get along with. It's not about that. It's about the way it's damaged the confidence in our system that is eventually necessary if we're going to make good decisions and progress in the interest of all. I happened when I was in this in the business of public life, I happen to believe in a limited government that needs to be careful how much it does, how much it spends, how much it bosses people around. But regardless of one's view, I always said about the proper sphere for government, we ought to agree that it's important that people have confidence in it, that the people in it are acting out of good intentions and trying. They may be wrong about the prescriptions, but at least trying to advance the broad public interest. And I think that's really suffered a lot as we've descended into the down into the pit of armed combat.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we said, you're coming to UW-Madison on February 16th. So for people who are going to that event, what do you want them most to leave thinking differently about after the conversation?
Well, it's sort of it's what the customer wants. I'm so grateful to be invited. Madison's one of the great universities of our country, and has given us all so much. My impression is that my hosts want to talk about the subjects we just covered. I think they want to talk about the difficulty higher education has found itself in. In which I think some of it was foreordained by the demographic shifts and so forth, but much of the trouble has been self-inflicted, in my opinion. And so I'm I'm in the camp of those who really want to see higher ed recover its standing with society and remain an aspiration of young people. But to do that, in my opinion, there needs to be some reform from within. And so I think maybe we'll talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, I will be there. I am looking forward to hearing you speak in person. But thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Well, enjoyed it, Kristen. I'll look forward to seeing you.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks so much. Governor Mitch Daniels will be in Madison on February 16th at 7 p.m. for the UW-Madison La Follette School of Public Affairs Spring Spotlight. And so looking forward to that and had a great conversation with him today. We'll take one more break and then finish up today's show.
Your European experts at Fox World Travel are ramping up and busy as ever. When you want to see more of Europe, Princess Cruises delivers. With Princess Cruises and Fox World Travel, explore iconic Mediterranean ports by day, then relax in classic comfort by night. From immersive shore excursions to destination-inspired dining, every moment is designed to feel effortless. Ready to set sail on your Mediterranean adventure? Call 866-GO-FOX-GO or visit foxworldtravel.com to book your European getaway.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and the legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Why DIY your frozen pizza toppings when Screamin' Sicilian already went over the top for you? We're talking whole milk mozzarella, heaps of premium meats, a mountain of veggies. Screamin' Sicilian is frozen pizza stacked, no add-ons needed. Mamma mia! Screamin' Sicilian, so loaded with toppings, it's almost cheating. Find Screamin' Sicilian in your local grocer's freezer section and taste what all the screamin' is about.
Anglers, looking to up your game on Lake Michigan? Join MW Marine in Hales Corners for a free fishing seminar this Saturday at 11 a.m. Meet Tyler Schrader, Ranger and Mercury Pro, as he gives an introduction to small boat Lake Michigan trolling. Perfect for weekend fishermen. No reservations needed, just show up. Plus, check out all the new boats on display. That's this Saturday at 11 a.m. at MW Marine in Hales Corners.
At Gruber Law Offices, we've helped tens of thousands of families after a serious accident. Our priority has always been our clients. We're here for you whenever you may need us. One call, that's all.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
From the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom, the nation's border czar says he's working with leaders in Minnesota as he takes over immigrant enforcement operations in the state.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather.
After Wisconsin's first measles case of the year in Waukesha County, more than 50 people are now under quarantine for possible exposure.
Every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ.
Big thanks to former Governor Mitch Daniels for spending some time with us. Unfortunately, that connection was not as good as I wanted it to be. He had so much good insight. But I will make sure the information is out there. But if you just Google La Follette School of Public Affairs, Mitch Daniels, you can find information on when he is in Madison later this month on February 16th. But speaking of civics, I found out, and I'm hopefully going to have this on the show tomorrow, but I think it's pronounced APS or APSE, so APPSE, which stands for American Public Policy Special Emphasis at Wauwatosa West, so yes, local. They're competing in the Center for Civic Education We the People Constitutional Competition, and they won state, and now they are on their way to the national championship in D.C. in April. And I'm really excited. We're going to talk to the Wauwatosa West social studies teacher, Chad Matsky, who is the faculty who runs this club, about the civics education, the competition of it all, and how many the students and what they're learning and what this competition is all about. Because I think as we talk about whatever you want to call it, lowering polarization, civility, our Constitution, how we make our way back and actually hopefully are on that pendulum rather than a ratchet, as Governor Daniels referred to. Investing our youth in learning civics and not having that take a back seat to all the other things that they're learning, I think is a priority. And so I'm really excited to talk to maybe one of the students, but certainly the teacher who is guiding all of these young people on learning our Constitution, defending our Constitution, and competing nationally to bring maybe some hardware back to the Milwaukee area. So hopefully we will have that tomorrow if we can coordinate our schedules, but I'm really looking forward to highlighting that story. And for now, we'll be back tomorrow, but news is next.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a good karma.